Welcome back to your channel. My name is Brad, SuperCoach Pro, and today we have Steve from SDS SuperCoach, mate. How you going?
Oh, not too great. Very unhappy with Parrish being injured, but what can you do? But other than that, I'm having a good night. Always good doing jump on, jump off with you, and yeah, can't wait for another edition of it.
So easy, mate. No, it definitely sounds good. It's a typical, I was going to say Tuesday night, it's actually Thursday, so it's different for us, but
Yeah,
uh,
we were going to record last night, but I was feeling a bit crook in the guts, so
yeah, fair.
kept it to tomorrow night.
Yeah, not too easy, mate. So we'll start with the first player being Ashcroft this week. And I think I'm 50-50 on him for the jump off. I'm going to hold him this week. His break even 71. He plays well at the Gabba. But I think if you got the cash and you can grab, a premium that's like Oliver or those other big dogs, you go for it because his break even next week would be 100, even if you score 70, mate. So what do you think of Ashcroft this week? Jump on or jump off?
He's a hold for me. I'm holding him for one more week. See how he goes against Essendon. No Darcy Parish. We'll see how he goes with a not as strong Essendon midfield for this week. Usually scores pretty well at the Gabba, as you said, and I think he's certainly a bloke you can hold for one more week and see if you can get a. He's just a good, solid on-field scorer. I thought last week was just one bad week. We'll see how he bounces back and does well this week. So hopefully he does well. But as you said, if he is your ticket to an Oliver, I think you just do it. So he's a hold for me.
Yeah, he's a hold for me too. Now, Fergus Green's the next one for us. He's been dropped, I'm pretty sure, in this game. So, and he's got a high break even. So maybe he's a sub on risk, maybe. But I'm gonna jump off for Fergus Green, mate. What about you?
Yeah, he's absolutely a jump off. Got dropped. I think Scrimshaw's going to be the sub, so he's a clear jump off. Probably should have done it last week, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. So I was actually consider holding him, but I just thought, you know what, my Hawthorn bias, I'll just get rid of him. So that was last week. So this week, certainly jump off. I mean, if you've held him, 143K, he's done his job very nicely, but he is a clear jump off.
Yeah, very nice, mate. And Conor McGregor, Conor.
Yeah, what about McGregor, mate?
I'd fight him, no worries. We're in the same weight class, I think. I'm actually guys heavier. Um,
Shout him out.
yeah, come get me, Connor. No, yeah, I'd probably trade Connor McKenna out of my side, even though Rich isn't back. I think he's done his job, and just that worries me that he can't score well, even with Rich out of there. And he's already made you enough money, and I think he's your ticket out to a primo this week at 306K. If he drops another poor score, he's gonna not make too much more money anyway. So, what's your thoughts on him?
He's a hold for me. No Kadeen Coleman. Remember that as well. Oh wait, is he out? I should have done should have done my research, but I literally just did a team sheets video. No, Coleman is playing. So one thing you got to keep in mind, Brad, here is the revenge game against Essendon.
Yep.
Could he just say, "Stuff everyone. I'm getting the ball, and you can get the fuck out of the way"? Like that could be his mentality. And look, I think I'd hold for one more week. Like, what's his break at? 57.
He plays at the Gabba too. He scores well at the Gabba, actually.
And then the Suns, like he could get a little bit of the pill. I'd hold. It's probably a weird one, but I'd actually hold.
Yeah, fair enough. It's just only concerning for me is he's got 170 in the last 4 weeks, and he's got easy opposition in these games as well. But fair enough. You're hold on with trade, so there's the thirst and discrepancy for the night.
Yep. Uh, Giving the fans what they want to see.
Yeah, we haven't forgotten, have we?
Oh,
JVR. I'm not sure. Actually, we should probably look this up. Did he win his case? If he did, I think.
I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll
It's
talk.
still going. How cooked is that?
That's stupid.
How's this still going on? It started 4 o'clock, didn't it?
What?
Um, it's something meant or 5 o'clock, something mental like that. They're still deliberating, which I find just hilarious. Um, I think he's a trade anyway. To be honest, like 59 break even. When was the last time he hit that score? He's had I think 6 games. and
3 weeks.
two of them he's gone past it. Yeah, he scored an 89 and an 80. Look at the rest of the games. I reckon he's a trade anyway, even if he gets picked. I know he's got a Hawthorn, but he's barely hit that score.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a trade out too, mate. He's made you enough.
Yeah, I reckon just jump off for sure.
The next player, when my internet decides it wants to work, oh, Grunt, mate, Grunt is a jump off too. Absolutely, this is isn't much worth talking about, but I'd probably go down and bank the 15K you go to Max Gorn or something like that. But he's just going to keep going down and down in price. And if you made the 80K off him originally, you did well. But I think if you held him and you couldn't trade him at the time, he's just going to keep going backwards. And Hawthorn Ruckman nullify opposition Ruckman scoring. So I think he's the perfect time to get out. And I just can't see why you would hold on to him now unless you got bigger fish to fry, mate. What do you think of Grundy?
He is an easy swap to Max Gorn. Just do it. That's that's the easy one of the easiest trades he'll do all year if you haven't done it already. Just swap him to Gorn and save yourself 20K, and you'll be laughing. So yeah, I'd trade Grundy for sure. Definitely jump off and probably get Gorn.
Yeah, I agree. And with Gordon getting that DPP eligible, I think it's just worth the trade as well. Um, Oscar Baker, my internet's not loading some of these players, but Oscar Baker's got a break even, I believe, 42 or 43, and he versus Carlton. In that first quarter last week, I watched him really heavily against the Giants. He turned over the ball heaps, and that sort of negatively impacted his whole score for the whole duration of the game. For me, I'm going to keep this week because I've got worse rookies to cut, but I don't mind if you get rid of him. He's not going to make too much more from here on out. But if I had to, I'd probably hold in most teams, mate. What do you think of Oscar Baker?
I think you hold for one more week, but you could easily trade like a 42. Um, isn't had too many massive scores. So, to be honest, I think it's fine if you want to get a Weddle or an Atkins or a Nevitt if you want to. So, I think it's fine to jump off, fine to hold, just team dependent.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And it's probably going to load his now, but Ridley, obvious one, you got him cast by your mate Rioli, and he's soft as butter anyway, so probably going to get rid of a bloke that carries on like Ridley for a soft hit like that. And come at me in the comments because if you don't think that's soft, it was very soft, and he's got an 18 score in him. Steve's crying himself to sleep every night about this pick. He's a definite trade. And he's obviously a trade up. You don't want to trade down. So your thoughts on Ridley? You want to go for your tangent on him?
Trade.
The silence is loud, mate.
All right, so we've got Dusty Wilmot next at 264,900. He's got a break even of I don't even know anymore. So, but I reckon he's a hold for one more week just because of no Daniel Rich, and he's only had one bad score. So I think he's a hold for another week. What do you think, Brad?
Well, I think he's a trade out for me. This is what I was saying the other week about Wilmot. I said you may as well trade him out because he's only going to make a couple K each week. He's literally made you 1K if you held on to him this week. His scoring's never been there since day dot, really. So for me, I'm a trade unless you're trying to loop him. But no, I'd get rid of him. So what about Setterfield, mate?
These Essendon blokes can get stuffed, honestly. Like, he's a hold now because Parrish did his calf. I'll tell you what. What is this server? Is the surface of the hangar filled with potholes or some shit? What's going on with Essendon's injuries? What is going on? Their medical staff need to get the sack. Like, honestly, um, probably best you don't click on the players now. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, Setterfield, he'll play. He should play a lot more in the midfield now. So he's a I think he's a hold for one more week now because he's going to get a lot more CBAs, no Parish, and yeah, I'd probably just hold.
Yeah, I'd actually probably hold on Setterfield too now that Parrish is out. But I can see why you'd get rid of him at this point if you needed to get the money. And Dangerfield is an obvious one as well. Confirmed hamstring has to go. Your thoughts on that? Any extension?
Dangerfield is a trade. I think he's a trade because, like, see, this is what happens when you sort of. I think you buy into these players knowing that, they're 32, 33, they've got soft tissue injury history. It was bound to sort of happen with Dangerfield. And yeah, that was just the risk with the pick. So I think he's a clear trade because I think he's out for 1, 2, 3 weeks. So I think that's a trade.
Yeah, I think just on his age alone, it's a trade for those sort of. Right? So
Before we move on to the most traded in players, would you trade? Would you jump on or jump off? Would you jump off Parrish?
yes, because the calf injury last year and the preseason we're talking about as well. So I'd jump off.
Yeah, we were talking about it off air, and obviously I own Darcy Parish, which is just disgraceful. And we were just talking about how when he got subbed off against Carlton last year with that calf, he missed 2 weeks, and then he played one game and then missed another four. So it's just like I know we haven't heard any news on the extent of it, but you can't trust Parish and his calves, and it looks like the same thing's going to happen again this year. So I think I'm going to jump off. I'm going to see how you brought up a good point, Brad. See how Sam Simpson scores tomorrow night. If he goes under 60, I think he's a definite trade. So I'm just going to have to see how I go, just debating whether I go. Oh, I'll probably go Mills if I trade Parish. Anyway, let's head to most traded in. Sorry about my little rant there.
Go for it, mate. It's free to air. So number one traded in players, Blake Drury, which is weird. I'm actually not to jump on this early, in case we have a situation with, like Corey Wagner. I know I did it with Sincotta, so you probably think I'm a hypocrite, but at least Sincotta, he's middle aged sort of player. Drury's only 19 years old. He's playing a forward sort of role at the Kangaroos. He's coming high off the ground, sort of like a Chandler role. But I just want one more week of him. And if you go early on him this week, who are you going to go early on next week? As in, who's on the bubble next week? Someone like the Gold Coast player who's only played one game, Berry. So you're really banking on Berry next week to hold his spot for a third game, in front of a Holman and other players like that we're not sure about their injury list at Gold Coast. So I'd wait a week and use Blake Drury as your downgrade next week, but certainly wouldn't be going this week, mate. What are you thinking of jumping on Drury?
He's not a jump on for me. Uh, I thought you were absolutely spot on there. You're really banking on Berry being another option. We don't know much about his job security or whatnot. We need to see if he actually plays a good game. Now he's got West Coast. If there's a week for him to just play good footy, it's this week. This is the week where he can buy himself a couple more weeks in the side if he kicks a couple as a forward pocket player. I think Malcolm Roses, is he back in the side? Um, like what were the sorry, once again should have done my research here. So with West Coast, with the Coast. Um, now Flanders got dropped, long injured, Casbolt personal reasons. Zedis was the sub. OA, Hawago Oye, I don't know how you say that name. Mac Andrew and Sam Day came in. OA, I think it's a small forward, but Flanders out who plays like half forward, forward pocket. Where's Berry named? Berry's named on field here on the half forward line, so that's pretty interesting. But still, sorry, back to Drury. I wouldn't jump on because you're really banking on Tom Berry being an option next week, and there's no guarantees that he is. So, I think Drury. Worry about him next week. There are a couple of options this week, not great options, but whatever.
For a second, I thought you meant Drury had West Coast this week, and I'm like, oh no, he's getting confused with
Oh
Atkins.
no, sorry, I meant Gold Coast. I'll tell you what. How bad is that? Are you going to watch West Coast Gold Coast tomorrow?
No, I'll be watching Richmond and Geelong anyway, because I'm a Tigers man.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone, unless you're a West Coast or Gold Coast supporter, if you're watching, but I just can't see myself watching that game. Like, that is just proper graveyard, isn't it?
Yeah, I tip Gold Coast for that, but is there any Gold Coast supporters out there yet? Um,
I think there's a few on Twitter. So, yeah,
maybe
shout out to all the Gold Coast supporters.
all five of you. Supporters. Nah, I'm gonna get so much slack in the comments. But anyway, Rory Atkins. For me, I hated him last week, so I'm not bipolar, and I'm not going to change my mind about this pick. I don't like him They haven't given him enough games over the last few seasons at being Gold Coast. I know he's got a contract for another 2 years. He's 28. It's sort of like why would you bring him in? I think he's just doing a role while there's a few injuries out there, but I think he's also the first to go. He's not very defensive. He just takes kickouts and just bombs it to the wing and tries to get possession, but doesn't do much else than that. He racks it up in the VFL, but that means nothing. And I just don't want to pay another 200K for a rookie. And I think he'll obviously he's named this week, but next week he goes out. All these coaches jumped on him, and then I just think he's going to be a dead rookie. And you're hoping he plays through the buys, but I just can't see it. I think a lot of podcasts are 50-50 on him, but for me, I'm adamant that I'm not going to pick up another 200K guy when I'd rather just go down to a player 70K cheaper in Weddle, mate. So what do you think about Atkins overall?
I think he's going to be a solid on-field scorer if he keeps his spot, but there's no guarantees about that. Like I have a feeling once Lockie Weller is to go, he's the one that goes out. So because didn't no Atkins already in the side before Weller got injured? I think he's played 2 games, so yeah, he was. Um, I think he comes out for Weller when Weller's back, probably next week. I think so. I'm not sold on the job security. If I'm paying 200K for a bloke, I need guarantees he's going to be playing. That he's got some very decent job security, but I don't see that at all. It feels like another Charlie Constable situation right here, but I think I'm not jumping on. If you want to take the punt, then fair enough. I think he'll outscore the other two options, downgrade options this week. But yeah, I'm not big on Rory Atkins. I'm happy to pass and save 70K because as we play Supercoach, we've all been in that situation where you're just 5K short from the per trade. I've been in that situation a lot this year. I want to save every penny I can, and just try to make the right moves to my side. So he's not a jump on for me.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Number three, Josh Weddle, pick 18. I think he's a jump on this week. He's the only rookie that I actually like on the bubble. His scoring's a little bit skeptical and 30 and 50 odd. But these guys, like, what do you expect the first year player to really average you? At 130, he only needs to go like 50 odd. He'll be like a Cowan where he gets early 200s, maybe 250. And just upgrade him in the last buy. Hopefully he's made enough money by then. 70 grand cheaper than Atkins, meaning it won't hinder your upgrade next week. That's the biggest thing for me. If I went Atkins this week, then I'd be having to target a player next week at 510K as opposed to, a 580K player. So I think it's a two-step process, not just a 1 week sort of move. So for me, Weddle, job security seems a bit better, mate. So maybe you want to elaborate, being a Hawthorn man, on your thoughts on Weddle.
I think we were talking off here about this. I don't think he's a sub candidate, like being a sub, he might be a sub one day, but I don't think he'd be one to get subbed off just because of he won like all the 2K time trials. He's a really good runner. He can outrun games, stuff like that. So he's I think we want him to be versatile, but for now we're playing him in his regular position with James Blank in the side now, so another key defender that could open up Josh Weddle as an interceptor, just get more possessions, that sort of thing. So I think Weddle's a jump on. I think for the time being, like he survived the cut with CJ coming back into the team, and so does Seamus Mitchell. So that's good signs as well. So I think Weddle's. I don't think he's going to be this great cash cow, to be honest. I think we'd be pretty happy if he made 100K at the end of the day. But I think, yeah, I think Weddle will stay on the side. Like we just need to get reps into him, and I think he is a jump on. He's my preferred rookie option for this week.
Yeah, nice, mate. And number four, we have Noah Anderson. That's a lot of coaches jumping in on him, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, for me, if I had the money, this week would be good because he'd be a good VC considering the polls if I didn't have Madden, which I don't. So I like that idea, bring him against West Coast, but I'm not expecting a 149 and a 189 every week out of this bloke. So do I think he's top eight mid from here on out? I actually probably don't, if I'm honest. But Took's going to be out longer than what we actually think. So for me, 50-50, but I don't really want to pay 605 for a guy that's not really proven over a month. It's only the last 2 weeks. And you look at if he started the year, it sort of scares me, those scores. So I'm not really sold on the pick. His kicking efficiency in the last 2 weeks has been a lot better than what it has his whole career. So I'm not sure if it's just an anomaly. But for me, I'm pretty 50-50. But if I needed a VC tomorrow night, sorry, I wouldn't mind bringing him in. And their buy is pretty decent too. But I'm just not sure about if he's a top 8 mid, mate. What do you think of bringing in Noah Anderson at 605?
I think it's perfectly fine, to be honest. I'd jump on, but I think I think I just look at it this way. I can save myself 80, 90K and go for a more of a proven uh, midfield premium and save a bit of money that way. So I think if you've got the money and the cash in and you're all settled, you're in a really good position, or you're in a position where uh, you haven't got a very good rank. You want to push up the ranks by getting a couple of pods in. He's sort of a guy that you need to take a punt on and see how you go. So I think he's a jump on for me. I do like it. I do like it. There's no timeline on when Tuke Miller's back. It could be a fair while. So yeah, I think it's a jump on for me. I really don't mind it if Brayshaw, Steele, Mills aren't really tickling your fancy.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Next one on the list is Goulden. Break even on a 490K. I haven't really thought about this pick because I started him. He's in a lot of teams. What is he averaging? 105 the last five. And he's only got that one poor score. So really, that's when a few people got rid of him in a 93-point loss where he had 3 shots and goal and missed all three. So you're a peanut if you got rid of him after that. But he's definitely a top 6 forward for mine if we're not including the new DPP changes at the moment. So, next 3 games look pretty good too. He's got Freo North and Carlton there, and see if his venue matters. So at the SCG, he scores really well. So that's something to know. They've got 8 more home games as well. So it looks like he prefers playing at home like most players anyway. But for me at 490K, if I didn't own this bloke, I'd definitely jump on. What do you think of Goulden, mate?
I'm going to be controversial. I don't think you have to jump on Errol Goulden. He's getting 0% CBAs. Like, it might have just been I can't say that word, anomaly um, with that Collingwood game. Now, they were looking for him a fair bit, rotating a little bit half back and on the wing, but it might be one of those players where he'll get you an 80 and then a 120. It's that sort of thing. So I wouldn't be rushing to get him. But to be fair, his break even's really low. And if you feel like, oh, gee, I kind of need him in my side, I don't want him to be an antipod, then you can jump on like 490K. Certainly probably the bargain of the weeks, I guess, for any premium. So I don't think you have to rush to jump on. If you're just scared of not having him, then you can go for it. But I don't know, like that the roles are not good. It's pure wing, and they were just looking for him a fair bit, and maybe that's how he's going to get his points up when they keep feeding him the ball because he's such a gut runner, really good runner. He's actually a really good player to watch. Like he's just so good to just sprint around and get the ball. So I don't think it's a jump on necessarily, but if you're nervous, go for it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. So that's fair assessment of that as well. I just think he's a bit soft. That's the only thing in my career about a Gordon player. Now, talking about a player that is not soft at all, Zeeble. I love players like this. They're just tough. They don't really care about what's going on. They just always so consistent. He's one of them. Like that 179, he'll probably never score that sort of score again this year, sorry. But his scoring this year, his worst is a 78, and after that was 92. Like he's just turning up every week. They turn it over in the back line. He marks it. He takes the points, the kick ins. Aaron Hall's not in there anymore. I don't see why you wouldn't pick this bloke up because every week they're going to get trounced. He's going to see heaps of the ball. You look at here in his fantasy stats, like he just racks it up. 22 kicks here, 30 kicks, 22, blah, blah, blah. His handball ratio to kick ratio is absolutely insane. Like he just kicks it more than he handballs, and his marks are insane because the Kangaroos defenders turn it over and it comes back to him. Like his marks, he's averaging. I don't even know what that is, but like he's got 18 marks here, and his worst marking range is 6 because it just keeps going in the back line. Is that a ridiculous price for a guy that's 541K, break even of 27? Like he's going to make 40K this week, no worries. So I love the pick, and I just think you're making excuses at this point if you're not going to bring in a player like Zeeble, who's got proven history when he played there a couple of years ago in the back line, and now that Hall's not going to get games, I just feel like he's an obvious pick for the defensive forward swing as well, mate. So if you tell me otherwise, you're not to jump on, I'll be very surprised. What's your thoughts on Zeeble?
Clear jump on. If you don't have this bloke, he's a must trade in. Forget all these other premiums that we've been talking about. Make sure you get this bloke in. That should be a number one priority if you don't have him, because he's definitely a keeper.
Agreed, absolutely. And the next player, Oliver. How many teams is he in now? I think
So add 2 points. He's going to be near on 53%.
wow. Oh yeah, because all these guys are adding him in now as well. Wow. Yep. So break even of 99. I brought him in last week. He's got got Hawthorn, which you might have that tag that I'm sure you'll talk about in a second. But then he's got Port and Freo. So I don't think it matters who he plays because look at his scoring. Like he hasn't gone nuts yet. He hasn't gone to 200. But he's just consistent for a VC or a C every week. Like he's already got a few 130s in there already at round 8. His worst was a 98 when he had the flu against Richmond, which is surprising because if he wasn't sick, he would have actually probably went 150 against us because we don't tag. And there's just nothing not to like about Oliver Pick. He's the one player that you'd pay up for, and his break even, like he's just going to get more expensive. So if you didn't start this guy, this is the price you were hoping to get him as cheap as was a 650 sort of K because he started off at 700K, and it's just so consistent, mate. What do you think of Oliver?
I think it's a jump on. I think this might be the cheapest that we get him all year. If it takes him a flu game for him to score under a ton, then if you don't have him, you're in a bit of strife. So he could have the Connor Nash tag this week, but I don't think that's stopping him. I just think you get him 99 break even. Yeah, because he's a bloke where he's owned by, after this week, will be owned by about 52.5% of the competition. So, yeah, jump on if you can. Would you ruin your side to do it, to get him in? Not really, but just would you do it?
Yeah, I'd bring that bloke in. That's why I bought him in last week for 650K.
What, so you would trade all your cash cows and then be left with nothing?
Oh no, not quite that. I just mean I'd just get him in over Noah Anderson or anybody else at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah, for sure. But what I mean more like is you wouldn't trade out your three main cash cows just to make sure you get this bloke in. So that sort of thing. But if you absolutely can and you feel comfortable in doing it, then do it.
Yeah, no, agreed on Oliver. Max,
Gawny.
yeah, this is a good pick. I think he's at such a good price, 512K. After his return from injury, 98, 80, 130. You probably shouldn't have got that goal in the last quarter there against the Suns. I'm pretty sure it was. So probably that scores a bit overs for what he was, but his break even's pretty low. You're probably going Grundy situation. If you're trying to make money off of Marshall because you don't think Marshall gets up this week, I can see why you want to make 70K, but he's really unique. He's only if you've got a Grundy sort of pick, break even at 80, and he's going to get deeper P forward status apparently. So for me, he's a jump on if I'm in that situation. Steve, what do you think about Gorn?
Yeah, he's a jump on for sure. What sucks is DPP isn't coming in this week because I think he'd be traded in by 100% of the competition if DPP was it. If he had ruck forward status. But unfortunately, we're probably going to have to pay up a little bit once he is a forward. So, yeah, he's a jump on. I wouldn't for Marshall though. I don't know. To be
Mark
honest,
considered it.
unless he misses, but no, I'd trade him in, but probably only if you have Grundy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's such a horses for course sort of thing.
Yeah.
Brayshaw. Wow, okay. Brayshaw's higher than Steele or Mills on this list. That's crazy. All right, so Brayshaw.
Should Brad? Should we do it this way? Should we rank Steele, Mills, and Brayshaw 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, all right. Well, Mills 1, Brayshaw 2, Steele 3.
I'd go Mills 1, Steele 2, Brayshaw 3.
If Steele shot,
Mills is the clear one. So if you've got a choice out of Brayshaw, Mills, and Steele, you can do whatever you want. We're just doing recommendations, but I would say Mills is probably the best out of the three. His fixture looks really good. Compared to Brayshaw and Steele, he's not dealing with any other injury niggles or whatever. Uh, Sydney have brought in a couple of key defenders to fill the Tom McCartan hole. So I think with Brayshaw, you look at just scroll down a little bit. Look at that run for the rest of the year. Sydney, Geelong, Melbourne, Dogs, Carlton, Collingwood, Sydney, Geelong, Brisbane, Port. Like there's about five winnable games here for the Dockers for the last for the other 2/3 of the season. So he's not a jump on for me, Brad.
Yeah, I think is if I didn't believe in Steele or Mills, but yeah, it's a hard one. It's sort of a jump on at his price point. But if I could go up and I had 560, 570, I'd be looking completely elsewhere. Like you said, just based on his fixture. Now you
Yep.
got minutes left. Jordan Dawson, mate. What are your thoughts on jumping on Dawson at 654K?
Um, I think it's a jump on if you feel comfortable in who you're trading out, and make sure you're not trading a couple of awful rookies, that sort of thing. So Um, I think he's a jump on just because of how ridiculous his ceiling is. Like, look at that. That's just mental. So I think if it doesn't really affect your team too much, I'd jump on. And just as well, guys, while we're upgrading now, it's really time to look at our buy structure and make sure we don't have too many premiums in the one buy or in the one line. So just keep that in mind. So he's got the round 14 buy. If he doesn't fit your buy structure, then probably best to get him after his buy. What do you reckon, Brad?
Yeah, I think he's a trade in. Maybe not at that price right now, but break even of 98. Adelaide Oval scores really well. He's got another 8 games there, mate. So jump on for sure, but only if it didn't hinder my upgrades for the week after, if that makes sense. If I can go 100K cheaper for somebody else and I can upgrade next week with that money, then I'll do it. But if it ruins your side for next week's upgrades, don't do it. So, but I'm a definite jump on, I should actually say, clarify. Now we've got less than a minute, mate. So footy tips. You know what your
I
tips are?
reckon we put them. I reckon we put them in the comments down below. So, yeah, I reckon we wrap it up.
Mate, no worries. Well, thanks for coming on the channel again. This is a segment jump on and jump off, and enjoy your night, mate.
Cheers, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
See you.
See ya.